How far would you go for luxury? What if I told you that some of the most glamorous brands on earth have their hands dirty in global conflict? Today, we're unraveling how your favorite luxury brands could be fueling wars, exploiting workers, and contributing to suffering in ways you'd never expect. Buckle up, because by the end of this, you'll question every luxury item you've ever owned. Have you ever considered that your high-end watch or designer purse might have a secret, violent past? Chapter 1: Blood Diamonds, more than just a movie. Let's start with the jewelry industry, an empire built on the allure of shiny stones. Diamonds have always symbolized wealth and love, but there's a much darker side. Many of the diamonds you see in high-end stores come from war zones, mined under brutal conditions, and often referred to as blood diamonds. Why are they called blood diamonds? These precious gems have funded armed conflicts in countries like Sierra Leone and Angola. Rebel groups sell these diamonds to finance their wars. And guess who profits in the end? Big luxury brands. Sure, we've heard of the Kimberley process, designed to stop the trade of conflict diamonds. But has it really worked? Even with safeguards, these blood diamonds still slip through the cracks, making their way into the global market and into the hands of your favorite luxury jeweler. Chapter 2: Fashion's Dirty Little Secret: Exploitation in the Supply Chain. But diamonds are just the beginning. Next up is fashion. Your designer clothes, handbags, and shoes often come with a hidden price tag: exploitation. Luxury fashion brands often source materials from countries with cheap labor and little to no regulation. But there's an even darker side. Child labor and forced labor are not uncommon in the production of high-end materials like silk, cashmere, and leather. Have you ever wondered where that premium silk scarf comes from? What if the answer is a sweatshop in Southeast Asia, where workers are paid pennies, or even worse, where children are forced to work in horrific conditions? It's not just unethical, it's criminal. Yet, luxury brands often turn a blind eye, focusing on profits over people. Chapter 3: Gold Rush of War. The connection between luxury brands and global conflict doesn't end with diamonds. Gold, one of the most coveted materials in luxury jewelry and watches, also has a dark history. In places like the Democratic Republic of Congo, armed groups control gold mines and use forced labor to extract it. This blood gold then makes its way into the luxury supply chain, often with little oversight. Just imagine, the beautiful gold bracelet you're wearing could have come from a conflict zone where workers were enslaved and profits were funneled directly into the hands of warlords. Chapter 4: How the arms industry is connected to fashion. Here's something most people don't know. Some luxury brands are financially linked to the arms trade. That's right. The same brands that sell you $10,000 handbags are sometimes invested in companies that manufacture weapons used in global conflicts. How? Through diversified portfolios. Luxury conglomerates often invest in industries outside of fashion, sometimes even arms production. It's a dirty little secret that they don't want you to know about. While you're buying high fashion, part of your money could be funding war machines. Who would have thought that glamour and warfare were tied so closely together? Chapter 5: The Exploitation of Precious Metals. It's not just diamonds and gold fueling conflict. Precious metals like coltan, used in electronics and luxury goods, are another key resource mined in war-torn regions. The Congo is one of the largest exporters of coltan, and armed groups in the region exploit workers to extract it. These metals are essential in the production of high-end electronics and luxury watches. So when you buy a luxury gadget or accessory, it's worth asking, where did the materials come from? Could they have been mined by child laborers or workers under the thumb of armed groups? Sadly, in many cases, the answer is yes. Chapter 6: Conflict Textiles: Silk, Cotton, and Cashmere. We've talked about the raw materials like diamonds, gold, and precious metals, but what about textiles? Many luxury fabrics like silk, cashmere, and cotton are sourced from regions with unstable governments and ongoing conflicts. For example, some of the finest cashmere comes from Afghanistan, a country ravaged by war. This cashmere finds its way into luxury fashion brands while the local population suffers. Not only are these textiles often produced under exploitative conditions, but profits from their sales sometimes help fund insurgent groups. So the next time you put on that cashmere sweater, consider where it might have come from and who might have suffered to bring it to you. Chapter 7: The Shadow of Corruption and Tax Evasion. Luxury brands don't just thrive on glamour, they also know how to manipulate the system. Many of these companies use tax havens and shell corporations to hide profits, avoiding billions in taxes. This isn't just unethical, it's also a drain on the global economy, especially in conflict-ridden countries where luxury brands operate. What's worse is that the same corrupt governments that luxury brands avoid paying taxes to are often the ones involved in global conflicts. By dodging taxes, luxury companies indirectly fuel corruption and conflict. It's a vicious cycle where the rich get richer and the rest of the world suffers. Chapter 8: Billionaires' Toys. Luxury items in the hands of the elite. It's not just about the brands themselves. What about the people who buy luxury goods? Billionaires, oligarchs, and the ultra-wealthy often use luxury goods as a way to flaunt power. But they also use them as a tool for moving money around the world discreetly. Luxury yachts, private jets, high-end real estate, these are more than just status symbols. They're often used as vehicles for hiding wealth, evading sanctions, and even funding global conflicts. The global elite knows how to use luxury goods to keep their money flowing, even in the face of political or economic turmoil. Chapter 9: Can we change the system? After all this, you might be wondering, what can we do about it? Can the luxury industry ever be truly ethical? The answer is complicated. Some brands are making efforts to clean up their supply chains and ensure they don't contribute to global conflict. But it's a slow process, and there's still a long way to go. As consumers, we have power. We can demand transparency from luxury brands and choose to support companies that prioritize ethics over profits. It's up to us to decide if we're willing to continue supporting an industry that, in many ways, thrives on conflict and exploitation. Luxury is more than just fashion. It's a symbol of wealth, power, and influence. But beneath the glamour lies a disturbing truth. Many of these brands are entangled in global conflict, exploitation, and corruption. So the next time you pick up a designer item, ask yourself, what's the real price of luxury?